Alrighty, hello and welcome everybody to this special webinar event, Simplify and Secure Your Mixed Linux Environments on Google Cloud. Today's exciting webinar is sponsored by SUSE and their partner Google Cloud and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Mackenzie Puddesy with Actual Tech Media, and I'm excited to be your moderator for this conversation today. I invite you to join our expert panel for a discussion on navigating the challenges of security, compliance, and cost optimization, especially with the end of life of CentOS. We'll discuss practical solutions and strategies for maximizing the efficiency, cost effectiveness, and security of your Linux workloads on Google Cloud. This is going to be such a cool conversation, and I can't wait to get started. So let's zip through the housekeeping and get on our way. First, I want to draw your attention to the questions section of your webinar console. This is the best place to get involved, get interactive, and post all your insightful questions, comments, feedback, and ideas. We do want to hear from you. So why don't you find that questions tab now, and let's start out by saying hi, hello, hola, bonjour, aloha, and give a little wave to the community here with you today. And it is Halloween today. So if you have any sort of fun costume ideas or you're getting up to anything on Halloween and you want to share, feel free to also share that in the questions area on the chat, because why not? Why not bring a little fun and whimsy to today's webinar as well? Now, as a quick side note, that window is also the best place to reach out and let us know if you have any technical questions or issues during the session. Knock on wood, of course, that does not befall you. Now, don't forget that a browser refresh should also get rid of the usual tech gremlins or any issues with slides, audio, or video. But if not, just shoot a message in that questions tab and the Actual Tech Media crew, and I will be there to help. And the last thing I want to point out on your audience console is the handouts tab. You can go check out some cool resources and follow-ups to our conversation today in there. Now, if all that cool content wasn't enough of a sweet giveaway, we also have a $250 Amazon gift card as a prize drawing at the end of our webinar. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for the prize. And all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. If you're not sure what those are, well, you can find that and the full T's and C's document linked in the handouts tab as well. Additionally, there is a $50 Amazon gift card up for grabs for the best question of today's session. We'll have time for Q&A today with our three expert panelists, so make sure you get any and all of your questions in for our speakers so that you can take advantage of picking their brains and having access to these professionals in the industry. Okay, that is it for the housekeeping. I've got three speakers here with me today from SUSE and Google Cloud who will join me in an interview roundtable style presentation. I'm going to hop on camera with our presenters now and get things started. Today, we'll be diving into the world of multi-Linux management, exploring the challenges and uncovering solutions for simplifying and securing your diverse Linux environments on Google Cloud. We have an expert panel with us here today. We have Sherry Yu, who is the Global Alliance Director and Domain Architect at SUSE. We have Sebastian Martinez, who is the Product Marketing Manager at SUSE. And we have Alexei Torchanikov, who is the Product Manager over at Google Cloud. Welcome, you three. So excited to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Excellent. So we are going to first talk about multi-Linux challenges. Then we are going to move into some support or some solutions on how to manage your multi-Linux environments. We'll talk about some common customer needs and how they can be solved. And then, of course, we'll have a little bit of time at the end, hopefully, for some Q&A with these expert panelists. Alrighty, and to set the stage, why don't we start by discussing the current landscape? What are some of the key challenges you're seeing organizations face when managing diverse Linux environments? Alexei, I'm going to kick this over to you.
Yeah, so the IT and operations leads today, they struggle to balance between multiple priorities at their hands. So for one, they have ongoing migrations to public cloud or public clouds. They have transformation from traditional VM or physical server-based environments to containerized applications. At the same time, businesses demand higher availabilities. They expect efficiency, personal efficiency, cost efficiency. They expect scalability. And to add to this, you add growing compliance and security needs and challenges. So this sounds like almost an impossible challenge, which, of course, CIOs have to deal with these days. One of the things,
Right.
if we
And then
think
from your
about,
oh, sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
if we think about this from a VM management perspective, with individual VMs, then an obvious challenge is that, well, you got multiple OSs at hand. Usually there is some Windows and there will be multiple Linux distros in almost any enterprise environment. And you have to keep these VMs patched, up to date. You have to keep them secure. You have to make sure your licensing costs are at bay. And also, you need to get what the business needs, and business needs changes and new software, new versions of your line of business applications deployed to production while keeping everything reliable and secure.
Right. So one thing I wanted to ask you about that is, well, maintaining uptime is critical for any business. How's the increasing complexity of OS diversity impacting an organization's ability to maintain that 99.9999% uptime?
Yeah, so 99, like 5 nines is 5 minutes of downtime per year. Of course, it's hard to achieve this without a really high available infrastructure. But if you're building a new application from the ground up, you can make it redundant and highly available, utilizing some of the new technologies like containers. However, with your existing applications, it's maybe hard or even not achievable. So you gotta really care about duration of your maintenance windows and care about making sure that every change you make is reliable. So it's well tested, it doesn't break your production workloads. A tool that many organizations use to achieve these higher availabilities and efficiency is to actually standardize and then automate management of their workloads. With automation and standardization, you can be more efficient. Your personnel is going to be more efficient. They will have necessary skills, build out these skills over time, and actually maintaining security and compliance becomes easier. So if you look at the next slide, this is just an example of what it takes to maintain just one type of OS hardened and secure. 624 pages of guide just to make CentOS harden. So when it comes to actual management of VMs, the standardization and automation means that you gotta ensure you don't have many types of OS in your environment. Often companies choose, for example, one enterprise OS and then a similar OS which is open source, and they choose and pick which workloads to run on what. And then you gotta automate. Cloud providers do have tools for that. There are third-party tools like Terraform, Ansible, Chef. We'll talk about SUSE tools later today. So whichever works for you, with the goal of standardizing your management practices.
That's great. I like that so much. Thank you, Alexei. And I think I want to pick your brain a little bit more in a bit. But next up, I want to ask Sebastian a couple of questions. Sebastian, I know security is always a top concern. How are the security challenges evolving in the multi-Linux world, and what specific threats should organizations be aware of?
Mainly, we need to be clear. The current world is an heterogeneous environment. Mainly, we are having multi-Linux, we are having hybrid cloud, and security is something that need to be managed in a global way. But the most common issue with security is about patching and vulnerability management. And for these kind of things, we need to be sure that we have some kind of management that is supporting the hybrid cloud and the multi-Linux environment that most customers are having. Mainly, we need to include all the operating system in our ecosystem, not just those that are in the Google Cloud itself, but those that are managed in the edge or in the terminals and desktop that our customers are having. This is something that is obviously needed, but of course the customer doesn't want to have different tools to patch and control their full Linux estate. This means that of course we need to be sure that we have a tool that is able to see this kind of vulnerability and patching tasks as an holistic way, mainly being sure that you could use all your Linux in the same way with an homogeneous way to manage that. But this is going to increase your flexibility, but it's very tied to the security topic. The security topic and is what you asked to me is a growing pain. It's something that we need to be sure that we are providing tools that are easy to be implemented, but of course that are flexible enough to cover all the scenarios. And this is why I think that one of the concerns is that multi-Linux management supporting this hybrid cloud world.
I like that. And, as you discuss patching and configuration compliance being so essential, well, they often clash with the change management process. How can organizations find that right balance?
Yeah, there is another point. There is no way to ensure security without a kind of compliant management. The thing is, when we are talking about manage only a small state of Linux, the manual management is easy to be done. We could maybe deploy our patches in any server or terminal or desktop that we have deployed, and it's going to run and probably it's going to fix the vulnerabilities. But when you have a large environment, you are going to start to feel, to sense that you have things out of control. You need to be able to demonstrate that all the systems are in the same level of patching. You need to demonstrate that you are compliant with the last policies that you have. And of course, this involves not just patch as a batch patching or to have a tool that is able just to patch. We need to have something that allows you to do staging, to keep the life cycle of your patches and of your systems in the way that you could do things as you do always. You have your development environment, you have your pre-production environment, you have your production environment, and you need to be sure that everything is tested and promoted in the same way. And one system in the edge has the same level of patch that you have in the cloud. This is something that is becoming so complex in the current state, and more when you have large number of machine or system to be managed. And this is something that we need to be very careful about that. I think that this answer partially your question, maybe because it's a very big topic, but what I feel is that our customers are very worried about this point, yeah, and this specific point. Yeah.
That's great. And I think we might have some more questions come up around that later in the presentation. But like you said, it's such a big topic. We're kind of just dipping our toe into the water a little bit here.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask Sherry a question. Sherry, we know CentOS end of life is a major concern and probably a concern for many of those in the audience today. Can you talk about the impact this is having on organizations and the challenges they face in finding alternatives?
Yeah, absolutely. So the end of life for CentOS means the end of all official support, updates, and the patches. So the impact on customers means that unpatched security vulnerabilities can lead to data breach or even loss of sensitive information. And unsupported systems are prone to performance issues or failures that can result in a business disruption. And also in regulated industries, unsupported software can lead to non-compliance. The result can also be severe. That's why customers are very keen on finding legit and cost-effective solutions. But as of today, right before SUSE introduced this multi-Linux support, all other alternatives would require customer to do a migration, and that could be very complex and also require downtime.
I can see that. And so, Sherry, you've highlighted the challenges around CentOS end of life. What solutions are now available to help organizations navigate this transition smoothly?
So this is lead to our official announcement of the SUSE multi-Linux support. And can you move to the next slide? And there are several benefits and features that I can dig into the details. So it's not a product; it's a support offering by SUSE, and to help customers to, get repositories and updates and the patches, from SUSE instead of from other vendors, and it's different from other Linux alternatives. It's an in-place switch. So, which means that the customers on their existing CentOS instances can redirect the access to the repos that SUSE provides, and there's no heavy migration that's required. And also, we guarantee full compatibility at the ABI level. ABI means application binary interface. So when customer switch their multi-Linux support to SUSE, it's transparent to the end users, and that's how we're gonna help the IT organizations to have an easy converging and also maintain the same operational process, even the interface to their end users. And of course, we provide lifecycle support. Yes.
Sorry, I cut in early there. I was going to ask a little more about that. So, for those looking to keep their existing investments, how does SUSE multi-Linux support help them achieve that while ensuring their systems remain compliant and secure? I know you kind of touched on, yes, that can happen, but can you shed a little bit light on how that plays out?
So, in terms of existing investment, customers already set up this landscape, not owning the software stack, but also the operational procedures. And those take time to set up and also have to go through intensive testing before being put into production. So as I mentioned, the SUSE multi-Linux support is an in-place switch, which means that the customer just redirect the repo access to SUSE, and there's no material change on their existing system or in the landscape. That's how we help customers to keep their existing investment. And we also guarantee full compatibility, so the customers can feel confident that they don't have to retest everything that they already put in place.
Sherry, that's great. I'm also curious to know if there's any sort of kind of white glove service available in terms of, anyone who's looking to do a migration. Is this something they can do not only with the software, or if it's not all on the client, but is that something that SUSE can help with?
Yeah, absolutely. Customers can seek support services from SUSE consulting services. But I have to say, with a sysadmin background myself, this setup implementation is a very easy process. It's similar to use oil change as an example. You can go to an oil change shop, right? But for a lot of users, that's an easy job. They can just do in their own garage. I would say the whole process is as simple as several steps. The first one is to set up the RMT server. That's a SUSE tool. In full name, it's a repo mirroring tool. And the most time-consuming part is to mirror all the repos, which is common to any RPM-based Linux distros. And after the RMT server is set up in your region in Google Cloud, the customer just need to register their CentOS instances against that RMT server. The registration is quite easy and fast. After the registration, they can start receiving updates and the patches from that RMT server. So that's as easy as that. The whole process is completely transparent to their end users, and also the operational procedure doesn't change. As a summary, there is no material change to the customer's landscape.
That's great. That sounds really promising. Can you elaborate a little bit on the benefits of the SUSE multi-Linux support on Google Cloud, particularly in terms of ease of implementation, some of those cost savings, and the critical support aspect?
Yes, so SUSE has over 30 years of track record supporting mission-critical enterprise Linux. That's why we are very confident in providing the quality to the customers. And regarding the life cycle, the life cycle of SUSE multi-Linux support is fully in sync with the Linux distros that we support. For example, CentOS and the RHEL. If you compare the life cycle, it's identical to CentOS and the RHEL's life cycle. That's how we help customers to maintain an easy life cycle management. And once they purchase and implement SUSE multi-Linux support in their CentOS landscape, they can contact SUSE for support directly. And also from a cost-saving perspective, we offer layers of support. So for example, the basic layer is patch owning. That's the most cost-saving option for customers who are very self-sufficient and doesn't need to call support, and they just need to get access to the patches and updates. And building on top of that, there are other layers with different support offerings.
That's excellent. Can you give a specific example of a company that transitioned from CentOS to SUSE multi-Linux and how that played out? I think that's something a lot of people here are probably curious to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So the customers, right, there are various benefits why a customer choose SUSE multi-Linux support on Google Cloud. And they start with the procurement from the marketplace listing. So we do have a dedicated listing for that, and they can contact SUSE. It's through the private offer. And once they receive a registration code, they can start doing the implementation, as I mentioned in the previous slide, in the several steps. With multi-Linux support, the mechanism in place, they can continue receiving a stable and reliable security updates and the patches. And also, because of the ease of the implementation, the customers avoid disruption. That's associated with a migration, which is not necessary with SUSE multi-Linux support. That's why they can avoid the downtime and the business disruption. And as I mentioned, we also offer different tiers in terms of SLA and the pricing point. The customer can pick one option that fits their needs to reduce cost. And and also compared to other commercial Linux offering, and SUSE multi-Linux support is at a much lower price point. That can also means reduce the cost. Customers can use that savings and reinvest in innovations. And at the end, if a customer is participated in the Google Cloud Committed Spend program, they can draw down their committed spend by purchasing SUSE multi-Linux support.
Okay, excellent. And I know you mentioned already a little bit that customers can access different SLA. What are the different needs you're seeing, or how does that typically play out for your customers as they make that transition?
Yes, so SUSE multi-Linux support have 4 tiers. but I only listed two of them in this slide because these two are the most attractive offers to CentOS customers. The first one is the SUSE Multi-Linux Support Lite, and there is no support provided, but the customer can receive updates and security patches, and they receive that through the RMT server that they set up in Google Cloud. That's a very cost-effective offering. And for some customers who would like to have a supported relationship with SUSE, they can go with the second tier, which is SUSE Multi-Linux Support Basic. And besides the updates and the patches, they can contact SUSE. So there is a standard 12x5 support bundled with this offering. And as another bonus, the customer have access to the SUSE Multi-Linux Manager that Sebastian is going to talk in the later part of this webinar.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So, we've talked a lot about the challenges, and now we've shed a little bit of light here on SUSE Multi-Linux support, both light, basic, and some of those tiers. Now, I'd like to kind of flip over into some of the common customer needs and some of the ways that you guys are able to help resolve the challenges they have and sync up on those needs. So I'm going to bring Alexi back on. Alexi, can you tell us more about Google Cloud's capabilities for managing Linux environments, and then also what tools and features are available to help organizations?
Yeah, sure. So I'll touch on the generic needs, what customers ask us for and what they're looking for. We can talk about what Google provides and what third parties provide later. But in general, the first thing is patching. And patching, even for companies that don't run patching in production, some don't, it's important to have an opportunity to do ad hoc patching when necessary, in emergency cases, for example, to close the critical security issue. Patching should be automated for basic hygiene. Generally, companies want to have an ability to have what's called patch baseline or snapshot or a channel. So that's like an ability to run the same set of updates against their dev, test, stage, and production environment, like sort of freeze it in time, take a snapshot, and then apply it across multiple environments. Of course, you're going to need the fleet-wide patch compliance reporting. Collecting that from multiple tools can be challenging, and that should run across your environment. So if you're running more than one cloud or run on cloud and the on-prem, ideally your tooling should support reporting across the entire environment. The next thing after patching is configuration management. So you would want some rules or configuration settings to be enforced across your environment. For example, these may be CIS rules, like no VM instance in my environment should have a root account with blank password, stuff like that. Or I want all firewall ports X, Y, and Z to be closed on my entire fleet. So that's the next thing customers are looking for, to be able to do this at a scale across different types of OS and environments. And then drift detection and prevention for this configuration, because you may start off with a fully CIS compliant image, but then over time there will be configuration changes, there will be drift, and it will get out of the compliance. So you want these rules to be enforced continuously. And then the next, maybe last critical capability is vulnerability scanning, of course, either with third-party tools or tools built into the cloud provider or provided by hypervisor vendor. This is critical, and it's important for security, and of course it's important for compliance.
So, Alexi, Google Cloud promotes an open ecosystem. Can you explain what this means for customers who might be considering solutions like SUSE Manager?
Yeah, sure. So Google is committed to open source, to be an open ecosystem, and to not enforce any policies which look like a vendor lock-in. So we are quite open about that. Uh, we believe there is no one-size-fits-all solution for almost anything you look at. So we empower our customers to actually choose the tools that are more suitable for them. If we think about the Linux choice or OS choice or management tooling choice, you can find all types of Linux distros running on GCP. We try to provide almost equal support for all of these. In many cases, there will be first-party support, and first-party Google products will have direct support for popular distros, both Linux and Windows. Because GCP is API driven, it's easy to integrate. We encourage our customers to use third-party tools like Terraform, for example, to manage their environments, because this also helps them to stay sort of mobile and be able to move workloads around between on-prem, cloud A, cloud B, etc. So again, we encourage the diversity, embrace it, and we keep our ecosystem open for whatever tools our customers find most efficient for them.
I love that. I think that's the beauty of cloud and the beauty of what Google offers. And before we get into the details of Google Clouds and SUSE's capabilities for Linux environments and how the two work together from an operational sense, can you, or really any of you three, if you want to pipe in, can you shed some light on this partnership and what makes it so special and so unique?
Well, let me add something about what Oleski was saying.
Sure.
We need to be sure that we understand what we are doing together. The thing is, Google Cloud is offering or providing the infrastructure, is providing the Linux instance, the command line of the G Cloud, the API, all of that. But our customers doesn't work in an isolated world. As we talked before, we have customers that have Edge that has Linux there. We have customers that have different version of Linux that have some complex management needs, and these kind of things are going to work better together when you deploy the multi-Linux support that Sherry you has explained it before. You're going to have better support for your environment. You could have a premium level support from SUSE for your CentOS. You could have a premium level support for a long-term support after the end of life of your environment, and of course you could have tools to help to manage that. But for example, we have customers that are managing their desktops that are in Linux from a tool that is located in the cloud. If you have SUSE Multi-Linux Manager, you could manage those together. You could manage your instance that are in the cloud and the things that you have on premise. Mainly, as I told to you, the edge device, the terminals, the desktop, including multi-cloud. This is something that is important. But regardless the flavor, you could complement what Google is offering for their own instance. I think that is a very, very good thing for the customer to let them understand that we are not working alone. We are working together. We are trying to provide the best solution for them for their full infrastructure. We are not just focused on say, hey, this is our stack. You cannot work with anything any other than us. We want to let customers to pick the best of both providers and try to be sure that we are fitting their needs. It's just that.
That's exciting. And actually, I want to pick your brain a little more here, Sebastian. Before I do, Sherry or Lexi, do you have anything to add, or can I can I pose him a few questions? I'm going to take your silence as a go ahead. Okay, excellent. So Sebastian, you already talked a little bit about, how Google Cloud is complementing, say, SUSE Multi-Linux Manager and vice versa. So let's dive into that a bit more. Sherry talked about the SUSE multi-Linux support. So I think you're kind of the expert on the SUSE multi-Linux manager. How does it enhance automation and standardization, particularly in the context of the multi-Linux environments we've been talking about today?
Yeah, if you go to the next slide, please.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm going to explain first how is the architecture in a way that any customer could understand that. As Sherry explained before, and the multi-Linux support or any Linux needs some patch. These patches are need to be stored in some way. Could be picked from the cloud, could be picked directly from the SUSE customer center, or from a third-party repository if it's I don't know other distro that is not supported by us. But we need to have a tool that is able to connect to those repositories, and of course from a single glass of control panel you are going to have all the things, all the Linux that you are able to manage there. The thing is, as I say to you, it it's going to you are going to deploy the SUSE Multi Linux Manager tool in Google, and you are going to be able to deploy proxies in any area that you need. For example, you could put proxies in each region if you want to have a bigger scalability, and you could manage all the Linux that you have there, regardless which distribution is. We are talking about more than 60 distribution of Linux managed by one single console. And of course, as I said before, you could manage from that your edge, your on-premise data center. We should be very in mind that is a very easy to understand structure in tree. The thing is, this kind of solution is perfect, for example, for customers that are deploying Linux desktop to control those while they are accessing to the Google Docs or any other tool to work or productivity work tool. And of course, what we are going to provide with that is not just a console to patch the servers. We are going to provide to them a way to automate, to include the SAL, the Ansible states. We could ensure compliance. Are going to reduce the complexity. Maybe we are going to streamline or and reduce the complexity of most of the operation with a very straightforward architecture. As you could see, it's not so difficult. Only you deploy the server, you could manage all the Linux from that, or you could include the proxies in any region that you want.
Excellent.
Go to
Excellent.
the next one, please.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm going to try to explain why we are helping the compliance. The thing is, we are used to patch the servers as, let me say, in a manual way, picking all the patches from any patching tool and patching those. Of course, we could discuss about vulnerability management. That is a different view of how the servers are patched, if those are available. But the best thing that you could have for compliance is a tool that is implementing a workflow in which you could test and have a reliable way to patch your servers to ensure that you are having an homogeneous environment. In this case, SUSE Multi-Linux Manager allows you and enables you to have a development environment, patch your application, your Linux, including of course SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, that could be CentOS, Ubuntu, or any other Linux distribution. You are going to be able to patch that, to test that, and after that, when you are sure that it's working, you could promote that patch baseline to the next production level. Maybe it could be quality and assurance. And in the same way, after test that, you are going to promote those patch to production. But the best thing is you are ensuring that all of them are going to reside and going to have the same level of patch, regardless the time you take between you are testing the first patches. This seems to be a very basic operation, but when you have thousands of machines to be deployed, it's really useful. Think about that. We have customers with more than 100,000 systems managed from one single console, which is a huge environment. And to ensure that you are in that compliance level is very important. To ensure that you have a single panel to see if they have open vulnerabilities or if they don't have patches to be applied, and to be sure that all of them are equal, at least as equal as you want to be, is so interesting for you. This is so many useful in the case of the SUSE multi-Linux support, mainly because you are going to improve the way in which the customer that are having CentOS or Red Hat Enterprise Linux, that the way in which they are used to work with that, with this kind of technology. Okay.
So, question there. Many organizations rely on third-party tools for managing their environments. How does SUSE Multi-Linux Manager integrate or compare with some of those other tools?
Yeah, the point is we compare with them in a very easy way. If you take bear in mind from three different aspects. First aspect is the support of an heterogeneous environment. We talk about any Linux anywhere. We talk about support more than 16 distributions in the cloud, obviously in Google Cloud, but in a multi-cloud environment, hybrid cloud environment, or on-premise. You have a single tool to manage all of them. This is important. The second thing is, again, about the heterogeneity. It's not just about any Linux anywhere. It's about supporting the automation language and tools that you have in place. So many people have configuration scripts, like, or they are working, for example, with Ansible. We give to them support for Ansible, for Salt, for this kind of configuration language to implement and reuse what they have today. And the last but not least is the scalability. The scalability, I don't want to say that it's unlimited, mainly because technically always there is a limit, but we are talking about hundreds of thousands of servers, terminals, and desktops running on one console. This is very aligned with the vision of the Google Cloud management of Linux, mainly because you are able to run hundreds and thousands of machines, and you need this kind of scalability. But I didn't talk about something that is very important. The thing is, we are supporting our own tools. We are supporting our own repositories. We are supporting that with a premium level of support. But the thing is, we are supporting third party. We are supporting your own Linux. I am not forcing we are not forcing a SUSE to change your Linux provider. Of course, we are offering a better solution, and we have benefit to use SUSE multi-Linux support. But if the customer is using our competitors, or is using their own support or Linux without support, they could still working with SUSE. SUSE Multi-Linux Manager allow them to use the tool without change the support. This is something very important, and I think that I talk about that, but it's great and it's an enterprise grade tool. We have a lot of tools that are, let me say, free, like a beer, that in some way are, I'm going to say, enough for so many customers when they try to manage a small environment, or when they want to do things in a manual way. But when they need to go to an enterprise environment with this kind of sizing and this kind of criticality, you need to have a tool that is as secure as your Linux one, as your Linux need. And this is the point. I think that those are the differentiators from our competitors.
That's great. And I know I'm so impressed by this tool. I think this is great. I've been enjoying being able to pick your brains and learn a little bit more about this. I think we're going to wrap up here in a second and move into some Q&A from the audience, but I think we've got a screenshot in here. Did you want to explain a little bit about the interface here of SUSE Manager and what people can expect? I know we the
Yeah,
demo.
I forgot this screenshot. Mainly, what we are going to show here is that we, of course, we are supporting our own Linux, the SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, in different architecture, ARM, x86, or in cloud, or in a Raspberry Pi. But we are supporting different Linux like Ubuntu, and you could see that in the lower part. But we are supporting, and if you see the left part, we are supporting SAT, we are supporting image patch software, we are supporting inventory. It's a much bigger tool than just patching. We were focused on patch multi-Linux supporting that in this webinar because we were talking about security and vulnerabilities. But of course, we could use that to do audit, to be sure that we do report for to ensure which is installed in each Linux, what is the inventory or everything. This is the reason to put this slide, is to show that it's very easy. It's just a quick pick and go ahead, nothing else.
Nice. No, it's a very clean interface. It looks great. So thanks for sharing
I'd
that as
like to
well.
chime in, for one thing, right? As a summary, SUSE Multi-Linux Manager is the only commercially available tool in the market that can provide such comprehensive multi-Linux management.
Amazing. So you've heard it here first. You got to come check it out. If you guys are curious to learn more out there in the audience, there's a QR code or a pretty simple link. You can explore SUSE Multi-Linux support on Google Cloud in the marketplace. So I definitely suggest you do that. I'm going to leave this up during some Q&A, and if you guys are set, my incredible speakers here, I'm going to pitch you a few questions with the time we have left. So first question I've got here is, what is the biggest misconception you encounter about managing multi-Linux environments? Any of you can answer this, so feel free to pipe in. I'm not sure who wants to start.
So one thing I have to say is, before customers getting familiar or even getting to know about SUSE Multi-Linux Manager, the misconception is that they need to use different tool sets that's specific, right, to that Linux distro. But this is not the case with SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. And we invite customers to check out this product and even book a demo. On YouTube, actually, we have a lot of materials like demos or presentations to talk about the deep dive features. So we invite customers to check out this product.
There is another misconception here that is very common. That so many people thought that the end of life of a distro means, that they need to replace that for the next version. The thing is, we are able to give with this SUSE multi-Linux support in the same way that we do with SUSE Linux Enterprise Server long-term support, another extra round to let people to upgrade at their pace. So many people feel trapped in a version of Linux because this Linux is, for example, in the case of CentOS, that is discontinued, and they feel that they are forced to go to another distribution because there is no option. We are going to expand this life cycle. We are going to give them choice. We are going to offer them, of course, the ability to upgrade the version, but of course we are going to offer to them the option to modernize their environment. And this is something that I think is a great misconception. End of life doesn't mean the end, the real end of life of your Linux. It means just another state that, of course, you need to take in a serious way because you need security, you need everything. But okay, you could have an extra round. And a part of that, there is another misconception is so many people think that we need to have a 100% homogeneous environment because, okay, if you don't have the tools to manage multi-Linux, you don't have the tool to operate that in a simple way or to save costs, you need to deploy a lot of tools, you need to deploy a different workload. This is not so real. The thing is, we could minimize the impact to have multi-Linux because most customers are having more than one distribution. If you go to your data center, any of you that are connected, go to your data center and try to do a small inventory about how many Linux flavors you have. You are going to be surprised. You are going to find a lot of them.
That's great. I love that. Alex, any misconceptions you want to add in, or?
Yeah, sort of to continue the thought that Sebastian had, was that I think many companies don't appreciate how much investment and effort it takes to move from, let's say, even from one major version of the same OS to the next one. It's actually quite an investment, quite an effort, and quite a risk. So, for example, based on the recent research, 80% plus enterprises will never update to the next major version of OS unless they really have to. And by have to, it means that there is no security, there are no security updates, even paid security updates, like full end of life, or they need capabilities which are just unavailable in this version. So, and that presents for us sort of a view on how expensive it is to maintain this infrastructure and how expensive it is to make changes.
That's incredible. That surprises me. I mean, from a logistical sense, it makes total sense, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, a lot of people are just sitting on those somewhat
Yeah,
outdated servers and
yeah.
operating systems.
Yeah, because
Just first,
everything works, then why change it?
That's
yeah.
true, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it, as the old adage says. So that's great. Okay, I'm gonna dive in. I think we have time for maybe two or three more questions here. This one might end up being for Alexi, but again, you guys can all pipe in. This is, how does Google Cloud's approach to open source differentiate it from other cloud providers, especially regarding Linux support?
Well, Google is Google contributes a lot to open source. You probably know about like Google's effort to maintain Kubernetes, for example. When you think about the Linux support, um, well, Google doesn't have its own Linux distro, except Cloud Optimized OS, which is basically for containers, like a read-only distro. So we treat all Linux distros on our platform equal. We don't have our favorites. Yeah, uh, if that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. I like that. Okay, next question I'm going to go through here. This one is, some organizations might consider alternative solutions like containerization or using a Linux distribution across the board. When is SUSE multi-Linux support a more suitable choice? Perhaps Sherry takes the lead on this one.
Yeah, so containerization has been part of the strategies, right, in customers, like as part of the modernization and the transformation plan. However, it's not a lift and shift approach. In order to transition in the applications into container, you need some development cycle, then the test, and also you need to set up the Kubernetes infrastructure, right, to manage the containers. So for customers like in the shoes of CentOS customers, they are looking for short-term solutions, right, to mitigate the risk associated with the end of life. And I wouldn't say container offers overnight solution. That's why SUSE multi-Linux support can provide a very smooth transition in a very short period of time. And we invite customers, if you have a CentOS environment, just pick several low-risk instances and give that a try. Try to switch that over to SUSE multi-Linux support and see how things work. And before you decide to switch your entire landscape to SUSE multi-Linux support.
Awesome, Sherry. I have another question here that kind of touches on the CentOS, so I'm gonna pitch it to you now. For
May I
organization,
add something there?
yeah, sure, sure.
No, yeah, it's just that maybe so many people think that when we are discussing about switching to SUSE multi-linux support, is we are switching the distribution. This is not true. We are just, as Sherry has explained it before, we are just switching the support. It's like when you pick your car and you go to the garage to change the oil. Okay, your car is not changing. Is that the same example? You don't, mainly because it's important, because so many people say, oh, I am switching my Linux. No, your Linux is the same. You are only supporting that from SUSE. It's just that.
I like that. That's a really good analogy as well, right? It's like it's not like the whole car is just different. It's you're just changing a few parts or switching the oil. Thanks, Sebastian. Okay, this question here is for organizations hesitant to move away from CentOS due to familiarity or legacy systems, what migration support or resources does SUSE offer to ease the transition to SUSE multi-Linux support? We touched on this a little bit already, but if you guys can shed a little bit more light on that.
Yeah, I think I still like to emphasize that switching to SUSE multi-Linux support is not a migration. It's an in-place port over. That's why there's no downtime, and it's transparent to the end users. That's one of the reasons that customers are choosing SUSE multi-Linux support over other alternatives. And I have to say this, with combined with our ABI level compatibility guarantee, we are offering customers a very smooth transition and the quality, guarantee.
That's great. And I think that's what people are looking for, right? Smooth transition, less stress, and so it sounds like you guys have managed to pull that off, which is great. I think we have time for one final question before we wrap. This is from Mike. Mike is asking, other management tools already exist in the market. So what unique advantages does SUSE Multi-Linux Manager offer, particularly for organizations like mine with complex hybrid environments? I'm guessing, Sebastian, you're the pro on this,
Okay,
perhaps.
mainly was answered before, but the thing is, the main benefit is the scalability, the support to have different locations to support this kind of architecture that is able to deploy your SUSE Multi-Linux Manager on the Google Cloud and manage from that all your environment, regardless where is it. The thing is when you have an hybrid cloud, you used to have different data centers, but really some of them are from data centers. So you have different infrastructure, like could be an edge. But you need to be sure that your tool is not interfering or is just tied to the infrastructure or the architecture that you have in your hybrid cloud. And SUSE Multi-Linux Manager is designed to be transparent for the user. It's going to be managed tool that is talking with Linux in the same language that it's talking the Linux part and giving to you the ability to do that. When you have a hybrid data center, most customers are facing that the multi-Linux support issue. Mainly because probably in their desktops, in their edge, they have special flavors of Linux that perhaps are not the same that Linux that they have deployed from on the Google Cloud. This makes very useful SUSE multi-Linux manager. Mainly because, as I told so many times, you could support your SUSE Linux Enterprise server in the data center. Of course, you could support Red Hat, Ubuntu, or any other Linux. But the thing is, you could go and support your your Ubuntu that you are using as a terminal if you are not using SUSE Linux in a remote factory. This is a great point, and I think it's a differentiated value. We are going to support you regardless which is the distro that you are having. The other point is about the scalability that we stated before is if you have a lot of deployments in one side, you are going to have a kind of server called proxy that is going to allow you to just put one piece in the edge or in the external data center or on-premise to be sure that your connection with Google is less expensive, that not every server or every Linux need to contact directly to the SUSE managers, SUSE multi-Linux manager server. But it's optional. Of course, if you only have this is something that important too. If you only have one server per location, or 2 or 3 or 10 or 20, and you don't care about the direct connection, you could do that. You could connect directly to Google, to the SUSE multi-Linux manager. And last but not least, the best thing is that most customers in the hybrid cloud are having their own use of configuration language like Ansible. They could integrate those scripts, those playbooks inside SUSE Manager. They could make what they did today in their on-premise environment in the same way in the SUSE Manager, SUSE Multi-Linux Manager tool. I think this is the main differentiators apart of the things that we discussed before.
Awesome. No, that's great. So last kind of final words from any of you three. If people are excited, I know we've got a lot of questions today, so it seems like the audience here is pretty excited. If they want to take some next steps, is the QR on the screen here the best place to go, or any kind of final call to action or place you could send them if they want to make the move, so to speak?
I would like to remark what Sherry said before. It's very easy to see what is doing and to test it. Don't be afraid. They could try it and test before they need to drop their CentOS or to change to something that is hard to them and costly to them. They could try that easily. They should go to the QR, see how they could test that, and it's a very simple operation. Yeah.
That's
The
great.
QR code link to the website where they can find the contact info. So if the customers have further questions, please feel free to reach out to us.
Lexi, any final words?
Yeah, do whatever is good for the business. Try to keep your workloads reliable and stable. Standardize and automate.
Standardize and automate. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I think a lot of people are going to be super excited to see this and get all the support that you guys offer. So take care, everyone. Alrighty. Thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed being able to pick your brains, and everyone out there, I hope you had as much fun and learned as much as I did. I want to remind you all to visit the handouts section to get some great resources and follow up with SUSE there, or you can always go to SUSE.com, SUSE.com, to take some next steps and learn some more. And before we wrap up, we do have one more little bit of fun to add to an already awesome webinar. It is time for a prize giveaway. A reminder that you must be present at the live webinar today to win. And without further ado, today's winner of a $250 Amazon gift card is Andy Stevenson from Wisconsin. Huge congratulations to you, Andy. And as always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after the webinar today. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Susa for making this webinar possible. And especially, I want to thank our incredible speakers, Sherry Yu, Sebastian Martinez, and Oleksiy Turchanikov, who have given us so much to think about today. And hey, I want to send a big high five and special thank you to all of you out there in the audience for making today possible as well. I know sometimes it can be difficult to stop our daily grind and take a moment to strategize and plan ahead. So thanks for pulling your heads up from the day-to-day of it all and making mental space in your day in order to learn how to simplify and secure your mixed Linux environments on Google Cloud. I know I've learned a ton, and again, I hope you all have as well. And now I cannot wait to see all of you at another webinar again soon. But until then, I'm wishing you an absolutely magical rest of your day and also a happy Halloween. Take care, everybody.